what Carlo Acutis predicted before his death, and how it's unfolding today. On September 7th, 2025, the Church canonized Carlo Acutis. For many, it was the recognition of a young saint devoted to the Eucharist and to the Internet. But behind this event lies something far deeper, an unveiled mystery that might not yet be fully understood. What if I told you that his canonization had already been foretold years earlier in visions and prophecies, and that it might be connected to a worldwide outpouring of the Holy Spirit upon young people everywhere? Carlo was born in 1991 in London, into an Italian family. His life lasted only 15 years, but it was filled with extraordinary signs. From a very young age, he showed unusual spiritual sensitivity. At just 4 years old, while visiting the sanctuary of Pompeii, he spontaneously knelt before the Virgin Mary and consecrated himself to her, something no one had taught him. That single act would mark his entire existence. Shortly after, he had a vision of his deceased grandfather, who asked him to pray for him because he was in purgatory. From then on, Carlo never stopped praying for forgotten souls. Could a child invent something like this? Or was it a glimpse of a destiny already written? At age 7, while preparing for his first communion, Carlo declared, "My goal is to always remain united with Jesus," and he kept his promise. He loved the Eucharist, calling it "my highway to heaven." While other teenagers were lost in distractions, he spent time visiting the sick, helping the poor, and using the internet to spread Eucharistic miracles. But behind this seemingly simple life, there was a deeper mystery. Carlo often spoke with remarkable ease about death, eternity, and even his own passing. He would say unsettling things like, "I will die young," and "I will die of a brain hemorrhage," and that's exactly what happened. In October 2006, at only 15, he died of an aggressive leukemia that caused a fatal brain hemorrhage. 3 months before, he had written a file on his computer, "When I weigh 70 kilos, I am destined to die." And that's exactly what happened. The illness made him gain weight, he reached that number, and shortly after, he passed away. How can we explain this clarity in a teenager? Was it premonition, prophecy, or a soul so united with God that he could foresee his destiny with serenity? Carlo also had mystical experiences connected to Fatima. During one procession, it is said that the Virgin appeared to him and gave him her heart, asking him to consecrate himself to the hearts of Jesus and Mary. In later visions, he said he saw the 3 shepherd children. Jacinta showed him the horrors of hell. Francisco encouraged him to make sacrifices for offenses against the Blessed Sacrament, and Lucia reminded him of the importance of the first Saturdays. From that moment, Carlo spoke insistently about the danger of damnation and the urgent need to repair sins with sacrifice. Was this not an echo of Fatima, revived in the 21st century? On another occasion, Carlo had a vision of St. Peter's Square filled with crowds. Suddenly, angels appeared in the sky with trumpets, and the bright sunny day turned dark. In the middle of this scene, he heard the Virgin's voice. Difficult times will come for Christianity because of disobedience. Was Carlo seeing a prophecy of the crises the Church faces today? Or was it a warning for a future that is still unfolding? Before dying, Carlo told his mother, "I won't give you just one sign, but many." And those signs began to appear. His mother, Antonia Salzano, said she received messages from St. Francis of Assisi about her son. In one of them, she heard a stunning prophecy. When Carlo is canonized, God will send the Holy Spirit upon the earth and will touch every teenager with sanctifying grace. This is not just about the canonization of a young saint. It could be the start of a global spiritual event, almost like a youthful Pentecost. And if that is true, are we living through the first steps of that promise? The miracles attributed to Carlo multiplied after his death. The first took place in Brazil in 2013. A boy named Matias, suffering from a severe pancreatic malformation, was instantly healed after touching a relic of Carlo. The second happened in Italy in 2022. A young Costa Rican girl with a critical brain hemorrhage recovered completely after her mother prayed at Carlo's tomb. Beyond these officially approved miracles, hundreds of testimonies speak of conversions, healings, and favors obtained through his intercession. Could this be the beginning of the great outpouring of the Spirit that was foretold? Carlo was not only a pious teenager, he also wrote with surprising depth. At just 15, he would say, "Death is like a trampoline to heaven." He reflected on purgatory, eternity, and the four last things: death, judgment, heaven, and hell. He would say the greatest tragedy of man was not death, but living as if God did not exist. And secretly, he lived a heroic charity, emptying his piggy bank for the poor, giving food to the homeless, and even buying sleeping bags for those on the streets. Few knew about these acts while he was alive. So, was Carlo not just a witness of the gospel, but a prophetic sign for our time? Carlo Acutis died young, but his story is far from over. His canonization may not be an ending, but the beginning of something much greater, something the world has yet to grasp. Could it be that we are standing at the edge of a global Pentecost for the youth? Is Carlo the saint chosen by God to awaken this generation? One thing is certain: his life continues to raise questions, mysteries, and even restlessness in those who hear it. And now I want to ask you, do you believe Carlo Acutis is a prophet for our time, or just an extraordinary teenager with an extraordinary faith? Leave your answer in the comments, share this video so more people can hear this story, and don't forget to subscribe so we can discover together the signs that might still change the history of the Church. Because remember, Carlo promised he would give many signs, and maybe the next one will be meant just for you. And before we finish, I want to invite you to take the next step with us. If you felt moved by the story of Carlo Acutis, don't stop here. On this channel, we continue to share revelations, prophecies, and messages given to visionaries by the Virgin Mary. Lights from heaven that can guide our times. Subscribe now and activate the bell so you won't miss any of the treasures of faith that we'll be discovering together. Because each video can bring you closer to God's plans, and perhaps to the sign you've been waiting for.